Hey there! Welcome to Above the Noise with the Profitability Pathmaker. I'm Christy Wilson, your host, friend, and guide on this exciting journey we're about to embark on together. If you've got big dreams of scaling your business, innovating like a pro, and creating a personal brand that sticks, well, you're in exactly the right place. As someone who's navigated the highs and lows of business growth, I'm here to share not just my insights, but also wisdom from the forefront of entrepreneurship and innovation. From the essentials of starting small to the complexities of venture capital, tech advancements, and the art of personal branding, we're diving deep into what it really takes to stand out and succeed in today's fast-paced world. This podcast is for the bold and the ambitious, from startup founders to C-level executives looking to elevate their business. So join us as we explore actionable strategies, practical tips, and real-world success stories designed to inspire and empower you. So grab your favorite cup of coffee and let's cut through the noise together. It's time to make your business not just seen, but truly memorable. Are you ready to dive in? Let's go. Hello, and welcome back to Above the Noise with Josh and Christy Wilson. And today's episode is going to circle around the same topic we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks, which is sales processes. One of the biggest concerns, dreaded items that I hear from many of my business owners, our clients, is the fact that they have to jump on discovery calls or they have to get in front of customers and sell, and they feel very awkward about it or they get an ick feeling around it. So we've been discussing how to really walk through a flow that doesn't feel as awkward, it doesn't feel icky, it doesn't feel salesy. It's more discovery and then really just plugging in a solution that makes sense to offer up an opportunity to take advantage of what that person wants. And again, it goes back to your marketing magnet. Your marketing has to act as your magnet. If you're bringing in the right people, then they're already 90% of the way there, right? You're now just showing them or mapping out exactly how this fits what they're looking for. So today, we're going to talk about two big questions that come up, or two big, I guess we'll call them challenges that come up during discovery calls that I've heard recently from our clients. And one of them is, what do you do when you get on the phone with someone and the first thing out of their mouth is, which is how much does it cost? Or really early on. And we all know that for the most part, you really don't want to discuss the investment until you've had a chance to learn what it is they want. Because you can't really right fit a solution unless you're only offering one thing. I mean,
if you're offering one thing, give them the price.
If you're at a restaurant, if you're at our ABC restaurant, you're at Atlanta Bread, and you're ordering a cup of gelato, it is $4.95.
It depends on the price. If there's a price, give them the price.
Right. If you're ordering a cup of gelato, it's $4.95. Let's just be transparent and get it out there.
But if you're asking me what's the cost to cater the 45 people, okay, well, hold on. I need to know a few more things first.
Exactly.
And it's not that I won't give you the number. It's that I can throw a number out there, but, if you want the price of how I cater 45 people versus how she caters 45 people, that's not the same number.
And the thing is, you have to remember that most people have different packages that fit different situations. And if you don't understand what their needs are, what they're looking to accomplish, then it's going to be really difficult to show them why this works for them, why the value's there, why they should invest in this. So when they say, how much does it cost early on, it's important to remember that they're looking to see, does the price fit with their budget, most likely. And there's times that I will get on a call and I'll say, before we go any further, I just want to make sure I don't waste anyone's time. What is the investment cost around this? And If they're good at what they do, they will be able to direct into discovering what I'm looking for before giving that price. If they're not, sometimes they'll just throw out a price and that's fine. But again, the majority of people,
some people they just want to hear a number. You need a ballpark. And I tell people, when we're talking about IT stuff, and they're saying, look, I just need to know if this is a cost. And I say, look, it can go from here to here. And I said, it all depends on what you want in there. So it's good to have kind of a low and a high number to work with, because some people won't process any words out of your mouth until numbers leave it.
Right. You don't want to just blurt out a cost, again, unless you're selling a cup of gelato and it is what it is. But you don't want to blurt out a cost. You want to try to redirect the conversation back to understanding what they desire. What's their ultimate outcome, goal for transformation? What are they looking to accomplish? And once you understand that, you can do a better job of presenting the solution and mapping it out to fit what they need to show them why they should invest in you. So when they say
I think
that,
sometimes the problem though is that people haven't taken the time to research the solutions they're looking for. And so they don't know if you're talking about a $10 solution or a $2,000 solution, and they need something from you. So sometimes you have to give them something.
Yeah, and that was going to be our next piece, is really what happens if they're really not satisfied with you redirecting them, right? Because sometimes if they ask, what's the investment on this, or how much does this cost? The first thing I'll try to say is, well, it depends. And when they say, what does that mean, or on what, or I'll elaborate and say it depends on what you're looking to achieve or what we're going to accomplish with this, as we customize each package that we have, whether that's IT, marketing, lead generation and sales, business coaching and consulting. It's customized based on what the outcome is that we're going to get to. What's the result? What do they need to get to that result? It's customized. So I'll oftentimes redirect by saying, well, that depends. And when when they're saying, well, it depends on what, then you can respond with something, well, it depends on exactly what you're looking to achieve, or it depends on the outcome you're looking for. Now, like Josh said, there are times where people really do need to understand, does this fit my budget? Or is this, I really need to know what this costs. I don't really want to discuss anything else or waste anyone's time. And then that's okay, where Josh said ballpark it. You can give them a range. Okay, well, depending on what you're looking for, depending on the outcome that we're going to achieve, it could be anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000. Or you want to narrow it a little. Sometimes it depends on what it is. Say it's a coaching package. It depends. It can range anywhere between $1,500 and $5,000, depending on what outcome you're looking to achieve, what results we're getting to.
I usually take that opportunity to kind of go for the humorous response there, which is, look, here's the range. I realize it's a big range, but I need your help to tell me what you want, and then I can narrow that down. Exactly.
And that's a good way to approach it too. You can put your own spin on it, use your own words, your own verbiage, of course, but that's a good way to do it. There's sometimes where we've had really sarcastic clients and they'll ask something like, how much is this going to cost me? Like,
Christy's favorite answer.
Did you want the price on what it's going to cost you if you do move forward and achieve the results? Or did you want the cost of what happens if you don't do this and you don't move forward with some type of marketing strategy? So giving a range is a good way to move forward if for some reason you can't redirect, because again, it's really hard to gain control of the flow and to really map out and show them why their investment is going to lead them to their results, which makes it hard for a decision maker to decide, I just want to give $5,000 to give $5,000. Well, if they don't understand what they're getting for the $5,000.
If you find those clients, I would like to talk to them.
Right, they just want to donate some money. But anyhow, when it is time to share the exact price, maybe you've had to give a range. It typically ranges depending on what you're looking for, or depending on what results we're going to get you. It typically ranges between $1,500 and $5,000. And then you're easily able to segue back in at that point too. So let's talk a little bit more about what results we're going to get for you and how we're going to get there.
At the beginning of the call, you might be telling them $5,000 or $10,000, but 30 or 40 minutes into this, the goal will be, okay, maybe you're talking more like 7 or 8.
Right, exactly. And so when it's time to share the price, remember we talked about earlier, you can easily slide right into that investment discussion naturally by recapping and mapping out for them in a high level how you're going to get them there. Remember, you want to make sure you instill that confidence in them, not only in themselves to be able to achieve that, but their confidence in you. You want to instill confidence so that they are able to make an informed decision, and then you want to empower them to move forward and say something like, do you want to talk dollars and cents, or do you want to hear what that investment is, or should we move into what that investment looks like, or something like that? And they typically say yes. So now you're at this point.
You didn't mention dollars and cents abilities.
Dollars and cents. The reason I like that phrase that Josh is saying is my newest book launches in about 2 weeks, and it's called Dollars and Cents Abilities for Business Owners. Sense, like common sense. And
S-E-N, not C.
Exactly. And I'm excited for that to launch. So if you are interested in really learning the foundations for how to build a 7+ figure business, then that is the book for you. So when you do move into the exact price, right? You've easily moved in. Yes, they want to hear the investment. They want to talk dollars and cents, whatever it is, however you phrase it. Then you can say, okay, so the investment for, and again, remember, you're bringing it back to achieving these results, recapping the map out. The investment for that is $3,500 for those first 90 days, which again, and then tie it back to the results, the outcome. Don't tell them the features and benefits they're getting. They're not paying for your time. They're not paying for this item. They're not paying for sessions. They're paying for the result, the outcome, the transformation.
If they're not buying the gelato, they're actually buying the result. They don't particularly, okay, let me rephrase it. They care how you get there, but they care how you get there after they understand that you're going to get there and what it's going to cost them. Then they want to talk more about how.
Right. The mapping it out for them is really, again, building that confidence. You're letting them know, I know the exact steps. I know the blueprint. I can take you there and I can get you this transformation. Here's what that looks like. Now here's the investment. And, this is what it is. So you can do one of two things at that point. Sometimes I'll pause for a moment, depending on the person, to hear. Another thing is I'll follow up really quickly with a question, not to rush into it and take away the ability to sound confident on my end, but I'll say something like, okay, that's $3,500 over the next 90 days. Are you comfortable with that? And what that does is it gives them the concrete number. So they're informed now. But I also then pause because you want to give them time to process it, like we've talked about before. If they don't have time to process, they feel rushed, they can't put it together in their mind, that's hard to then feel empowered. And you want them to also feel empowered and in control of making that decision. But it also, at that point, gives them the ability to share their thoughts or concerns. So if there is an objection, if there is a question, then you're able to immediately start discovering again and help them, guide them to talk through it to see that, I want this result. This is the path to go. This makes sense. So, you don't want to justify your price. The worst thing I hear is when someone says, and I had this the other day, well, it's $1,000 a month, but you're getting, and it's almost like they're trying to justify it. And I'm thinking, why have to justify it if it's such a good product, right? Just pause. You could say something like, again, it's $3,500 over whatever, recap the map out. And, so again, you don't want to feel like you have to justify your price, right? If you've taken the time throughout that discovery call and you've been able to show how you're confident that you can take them to the end result or the outcome they're looking for, well, then there really shouldn't be convincing. You don't want to get into feeling like you have to justify, how long we've been in business, who have we helped. It's one thing to talk through that as you're giving them examples
you
of
should have already
helped
done
us.
that, because by now you should have already given them
Right.
some level of confidence that you can do this. And
Right.
if you haven't given them some level of confidence that you can do this, they're not interested in your number because they don't think you can do it.
They either don't think you can do it, they don't have confidence in themselves to be able to do it with your help, or more likely, they don't see the value for what they're investing. They don't see why they're going to pay that much. They don't see the return on their investment. And you want the client to see the value of your service as a natural outcome of the conversation that you've already had, right? So we're going to now jump into a question that actually someone brought me this past week. And they said, that's all good and fine, Christy. And we were working together on their sales process and their discovery call and really setting that piece up because that's what they were struggling with. And they said, well, what happens when they come to you and they say, well, why is it so expensive? Or I've seen cheaper out there, or I had an offer last week for a less expensive option.
That's actually my favorite.
So the trick here, number one, don't get defensive. People have, especially if it's your own business. If you're a solopreneur, it's a little different when you're a salesperson for another company. But if it's your stuff you're selling, there's a tendency for people to just get really defensive. This person I was working with was like, well, of course. I mean, if you want to go pay for that, if you have that attitude, that you're going to lose the sale completely. So you don't want to get defensive. You really don't want to be the cheapest. You should take it as a compliment. Okay, So if they say, well, there's cheaper options out there, my mindset immediately goes to, all right, yeah, I'm taking that as a compliment.
That was Jimmy's answer. My friend Jimmy was a salesman for a long time. I used to travel all over the world with him, and Jimmy would simply look at them and go, I do think that's what they charge for what you get.
That's right. And that's a good way to do it. Another thing is, obviously, if it's someone that maybe isn't as sarcastic, like when I ask them, well, which price do you want? The one for, if you move forward and move to the result with me, or the one where you don't take my package. But you can actually turn the question.
We're being the sarcasm is coming through. You really don't want to be a jerk about this.
No, you want to come across, like we talked about in the discovery call. It should flow naturally. It should be a discussion.
But don't get defensive about it. I think that's what we're trying to say here is don't become a jerk about it, and don't become an arrogant person. But maintain your confidence that, no, I know what I can do. And if you choose to go someplace else, good luck with that. Yeah,
remain confident. Don't get flustered. This person was getting flustered at this point. They're trying to justify. They're getting defensive. They're getting upset by it.
And think about it. If I'm suddenly defensive well, you're not reading confidence from that. You're now going, wait, why are you so concerned? When that person is just, well, if that's where you go, that's okay. There are other options out there. And suddenly you'll find that people they're talking to you more. Well, why are you so sure that you can do this? Or you're not going to drop your price 50% off today only, No,
I don't do a price drop. Now, I'm not saying that I won't help a small business. If there's a small business and then they come to me and they say, I understand that. And it really is a price situation. And again, that should be 1% of the time. Most of the time, they can afford it. They just don't see the value in what they're getting. But if there is a true monetary restriction and we have a business that's struggling, I will oftentimes come in with an alternate plan. It doesn't mean that we aren't going to bill. What it means is I might say, tell you what, the first 90 days.
Christy is the master of figuring out how to give you a small piece of what she originally talked about.
Yeah.
And help you pay for what you need to
take your return and reinvest it and continue to grow that so that you can get here. I might not get you there in 90 days, but I could probably get you there in 18 months if we start with this, and I can do that for this price. So if that's an option, then of course, if it really is a monetary restraint and they're not going to be able to pay their bills, that's one thing. But 90-some% of the time, it is not. And you can
it'll depend on the kind of the job. It'll depend on the work you're doing. Some kinds of work don't lend themselves well to piecing them out better. If you're a plumber and you have a giant water leak, there's not really an option for, well, let me work on a part of that leak now. It's kind of like, no, stop the leak. A lot of Christy's is consulting, a lot of my stuff is IT. And so a lot of times, I can tell people, look, we can just fix this problem, but you still don't have backups, you still don't have antivirus in place. And you need those things, but we can kind of piece it in. So it depends on what you're doing and whether you can piece it in.
Or payment options. I might be able to go to someone and say, okay, well, you don't have this $3,500 right now. Wonder if we did this per month for the next 3 months and we split it out. Or I'll tell you what, I can do this percent of it for $1,000 a month for the first 3 months, so you can see the results that we have here, and here's the new outcome, and then that's a stepping stone to this. The other thing you can come in with is, and again, read the person, don't be sarcastic or don't offend the person, but you could say, honestly, why do you think we charge more? Something along the lines of that, not defensive, depends on the person, read it. Or like Josh said, this is the price because this is the outcome. These are the results we achieve. And so, this is the cost of that, or, why do you think we charge more for that? And sometimes they'll say,
everyone expects that you have, and pardon the car references, but everyone expects there's a Cadillac plan and everyone expects there's a Kia plan. And then most people are looking for the middle.
Quality comes at a price, and you can pay for something, but you're probably going to pay more in the long run or throw your money out. And so, you want to really present it without being abrasive. You can present it as, do you want the best or the cheapest? It's like, what was Amazon's thing? Like, you can have it fast, you can have 2 out of 3, right?
High quality, on time, or fast, pick 2.
Pick 2. So do you want the best? Do you want this outcome in 90 days, or do you want the cheapest? And then, I don't know what the guarantee is on that. Now, if you found a legitimate, cheaper option, then, high five. I'm just saying that our things, we know that they are priced fairly, but they are also priced to reflect the outcome and the results that we produce. And so, the price reflects that. And so understanding when you're the best, no one's going to expect you to be the cheapest. And if they do, that's probably not the client that you are looking to take on anyhow. If they are looking for top best for a price that just doesn't match that, they're not going to be happy in the long run, and they're probably not going to stay with you long term. So again, that's where that marketing magnet and qualification process comes into play. So you can say things like, again, so tell me, let's talk about, why do you think we charge more than the others? And let them tell you why. And if they come back and say, well, I do know that, you've helped these other people, you've gotten results all of these times, it's like, do you want the best? Do you want the cheapest? And again, read the person, don't offend somebody. Or you could say something like, well, let's talk about, why do you think people pay us this amount? Well, again, they pay us this amount because they know the results are produced. In fact, for mine, even Josh's IT, whether it's business consulting, digital marketing, we have guarantees built in around these where we say this is going to be the outcome. If we're not producing that, we don't want to take your money and not produce results. It's not good for business, right? I'm able to go in and tell someone in a similar situation, this is what I did over the last 6 months for this person over here.
We've talked about this before, but if your business is the kind where you can say to people, look, we've done this before, and if we don't do this for you, we'll give you back your money. That helps a lot of people make that jump, because when you're asking somebody for an investment, whether it's $500 or $15,000, as soon as you're willing to put your money where your mouth is, that changes a lot of people's opinions, because they're sitting over here thinking, okay, this person, they say they can do this. That's nice. But if they don't do it, I can have my money back. Well, this is a no-brainer all of a sudden.
And that's the reason you want to make sure that you are properly walking through the flow of that discovery call, because you want to make sure it really is a good fit. It's a good mutual fit. You want to make sure you can deliver those results. Don't offer if you can't deliver them. You're not going to tell somebody I can do this in 90 days and then come back and not be able to deliver. You want to under-promise and over-deliver in each instance. So for me, again, I like to remember and remind my clients that confidence is silent. Confidence is not loud. So if you're confident in the value you provide and you know that you're getting these results, then you don't have to justify it. And the more you try to fill in and justify it in those salespeople
less is more at that point.
Right, trying to convince them, trying to pull them in. No, are you comfortable with that? And let them tell you what they're thinking. And then you can help to guide them to the decision, guide them to that place where you can empower them to make the decision to get to the outcome they're looking for. If they're not looking for that, then they're probably not the client you're looking for long-term anyhow. I don't want to convince someone to come on that's not going to be happy with my results. Our clients, we pride ourselves on the fact that even though we have 3-month packages, we have these single things, we don't lose clients. We have extremely low turnover rates, 1% or less. We don't lose clients. If somebody comes on and they pay $3,500 for those 3 months and they see at that point we got here, we put them on a monthly, retainer. And our guarantee, even with business consulting, I tell people, look, I can find most businesses a savings of, $70, $80, $100,000 a year without increasing ad spend. By the end of the 90 days, if I have not doubled what you're investing in me, you should not be using me. So, we come in and say, this is what we're going to do, and we'll give you your money back. I'll give you your 3 months back if I didn't at least double the investment that you put into me, as long as you follow the coaching
make sure that you
process.
When you build your money back guarantee, make sure that you've designed
realistic.
it in such a way that actually has to be done. Yeah.
Right. They have to actually take the steps, or if it's a done for you program, they have to still partner with you and participate to make sure that that outcome is realistic. So again, big thing to take away from here is if you're going through the discovery call process properly and you're doing your job, you're really going to be pretty much sold at the end. You're just naturally moving from step to step into onboarding. If an objection comes up, we talked about that last week. If the question comes up early where your discovery flow in the call is interrupted by price, you can try to redirect. Well, that depends on the outcome you're looking to achieve. Tell me a little bit about, and then just put it back on them. Open it up, let them start talking again. If they become adamant at that point, then that's where you say, well, I can give you a range that typically, ballpark, that's typically going to range you somewhere between $1,500 and $3,500 over the next 90 days. That's typically the investment. But let's look a little more about your situation and see how we can fit that in there, or what works within, what you're looking to achieve. So you can kind of tie that back in. And when they say, well, I had a cheaper offer, again, well, let's talk a little bit about that. Are you open to discussing a little more? Sure. Oh, well, why do you think that company came in cheaper? Now, if they say, well, I don't know, it's the same exact thing. Well, you probably didn't convey your particular unique selling proposition. You did not tell them why you did not map it out right and show them the results.
Or maybe you're overpriced.
Maybe. I rarely find that. There's a few times, but I rarely find that. I find that most times people are underpriced.
One of the two things is true. Okay, at the end of this, if you're quoting them $5,000 and they're getting a $4,000 quote, there's really 3 options. Somebody else is looking at a loss leader, and that happens. So don't overthink yourself. But if you're always losing your sales because of that number, you might be overpriced. Do your research, check into what your stuff is.
Market analysis. Yeah, absolutely. We can help with that too. I help with pricing and
Christy's point is probably the third and most likely what's happened. You haven't shown them
Why you? Why? This person's 4,000. Well, again,
if they're
why
doing
do you
the same
think
thing,
we are? Right.
Then maybe you're just overpriced, like I said.
Why do you think we are this price? Oh, well, what I would say to that is, well, then you need to find out what makes you different, why people should go with you, understand your why, and be able to convey that messaging wise. And if you do that, then you might be able to charge $1,000 more for the same thing, dependent upon why you. So that's the important piece that I would come in and say. Most times people are underpriced is what I find, or they're just sitting at market value. They're just not conveying that value. They're just not conveying the right message.
their messaging is off. And that's what happens in your marketing a lot of times. If the messaging is off at the front of things or at the beginning of things, when you get to that discovery call, it's going to be an uphill battle rather than an easy, downward slope. I like to slide into it. I got on the phone the other day, and I don't take a lot of the discovery calls anymore, but I got on the phone and they're really, I didn't have any justification, any convincing. They knew, they're like, yeah, they kind of came in knowing the range of price because they had asked a question prior to coming on. I built that pre-relationship and we jumped on a call. I was on the phone maybe 15 minutes and we have an onboarding session next week. They kind of they wanted to talk through and hear the map out. I got on, basically mapped out, here's more of the specifics of what we're going to do. And he was like, okay, he's like, you want to jump on my calendar and schedule a time to get started on this? I mean, it was like he felt empowered to make the choice. There was no convincing. Again, redirect. If you can't, give a range. And at that point, don't justify. That doesn't mean that during the discovery call, you don't ensure that they understand the value. And at that point, you can use examples of how we've helped other people and your social proof. But when it comes to the actual delivery of the price, don't justify. You can follow up with a question like, are you comfortable with that? Something like that. So again, that is how I handle those questions. I was asked that this week. It doesn't have to be awkward, doesn't have to be ick, it doesn't have to be high pressure. In fact, it shouldn't be. If it's high pressure, if you're convincing, if it's like pulling teeth, if you're begging, something went wrong either in your marketing, throughout your discovery call, your qualification process, something else is wrong, your messaging. So I would go back and review those things if you're having difficulty with this question constantly coming up. So, all right. That is it for today. We'll be back next week and we're going to have a guest with us. And she is someone that works with us on some of our business and career coaching. And she's worked in sales for a very long time. So we're going to wrap up our sales discussions with asking her some questions. We'll put her in the hot seat.
She won't see this before then, hopefully. But I'm curious how much the two of them are going to match because,
Yeah. All right. We'll see you next time.
And that wraps up another empowering episode of Above the Noise with the Profitability Pathmaker. I'm Christy Wilson, and it's been an absolute pleasure to share this time with you. I hope today's journey has armed you with valuable insights and strategies to propel your business and personal brand to the next level. Remember, every setback is just a setup for a comeback. So keep pushing, keep dreaming, and never be afraid to be a little loud about your goals. We've got a whole world to impress, and I can't wait to see where your journey takes you next. Until next time, keep making waves and rising above the noise. Cheers to your success, and I'll see you on the next episode.